All right, guys, y'all heard me say it yesterday. Well, I'm here to say it again. Shop Callie's opens in Rhino this Friday. They recently bought over the Botanico place on West 8th, but they are about to join us in the heart of Denver on Larimer Street, roughly around 34th. Shop Callie's has some of the finest flower in the state. Price-friendly edibles, cartridges for everybody and anybody, all prices, everything along those lines. They'll help you out. Knowledgeable staff. They have a rewards program, industry discounts. They got you covered. So check out our friends, Shop Callies. That's ShopPeccallies.com, or check out their Instagram page under the same name. Shoot them a DM. Ask them what time they open. Ask them what flowers they're servicing. They've got you. Shout out to our friends over at Shop Callie's and congratulations on your new location opening this week.
The suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
Hey,
Yeah, there we go.
dude, you are much younger than I thought you were going to be.
Much younger. Well,
32 years at Coors. I assumed I was going to be talking to this gray-haired, long-bearded, bellied guy. I didn't know. You have a star-studded resume. So
well, alcohol and cannabis keeps you young.
tell my girlfriend that. I'm pretty sure my brain's slightly pickled by the day, but I think it's my fault.
Well, good. Well, is my voice coming through okay?
You're coming through great. In fact, oftentimes our live episodes we do in person, the audio on those will suck a little bit, but these Zoom ones, they seem to do fairly well. So
Perfect.
All's groovy on my end. How about over? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Stoned Appetit. With your host, as always, it's me, Kip. Unfortunately, Chris is at the day job, so he won't be joining us today. But boy, golly, do we have a great episode. We're sitting down with founder Kieth Villa of the, I'm going to say Ceria
Rhymes with area.
Okay, Ceria, like rhymes with area. Brewery. It's not just your average brewery. Yes, Denver has a ton of those. Every time you turn a corner, it's Starbucks or a fresh craft brew. Well, Kieth has done something a little different. When everyone else has been zigging, he decided to zag a little bit. And we're going to get into that nitty gritty, talk about all things beer, cannabis, life in Colorado. But before we get to that, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. As always, we love our friends in the edible business. Shout out to Nove Premium Cannabis, the new edible line brought to you from Medically Correct, the same company that's been bringing you Incredibles bars for 10 plus years. They have now come to you with a new product, single source chocolate, premium distillate, all without the premium price tag. It's fantastic. It just came into market the week before Memorial Day, so it's fresh on the scene. They have 6 different flavors. Give them a whirl. As everybody knows, I love that sea salt flavor caramel. Ooh, baby. It's just like the ice cream, but a little bit better because it gets you where you're trying to go. So go check out noveisluxury.com or check out their Instagram page at noveisluxury to see a little bit more insights into the product line, the 6 flavors, and the history of how they came to be. But also check them out next time you're in the dispensary. If you see that package, it's a little black fuzzy. It's sleek. It's real sleek. So I recommend the buzz. I recommend the chocolate. I recommend the product itself. It's a great product. So Nove is Luxury. Thanks for sponsoring the podcast. Thanks for having an incredible edible. Cheers. All right. I did that without any slip ups and without cussing. I'm pretty sure our title sponsors are going to be fired up about that. Kieth, how are you today, brother?
Doing great, Kip. Yeah, doing great. It's a bright, sunny Colorado day, and I can't complain. How about yourself?
Man, I'm in the same boat. I just had to step out because I left my headphones in the car before we jumped on this call or this video chat, and it feels absolutely orgasmic outside. After like the last 2 or 3 weeks of just crappy spring, this is the spring Coloradans love and look for. So I feel like today's a great day for everything Colorado.
Yes. Oh, I agree. It's a perfect day to get out, have fun, drink a cannabis beer, smoke a joint, whatever you're into.
I love it. And I kind of teased it, but I didn't say really what it is. Ceria Brewery has kind of been revolutionary. I teased it with the zigging and the zagging, but you just kind of tipped the hat. Y'all have a cannabis beer. And
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, this is fantastic. It's like the best of both worlds for Coloradans because, I mean, they love their craft beer. They love their hoppy beverages on the patio, but everybody likes that head change of the cannabis and the edibles. So when you mixing both of them, we're excited to get into the nitty gritty of how you, I guess, came up with the concept and patent and kind of tailored or touched your product. But we like to start every episode with the same question. So I would be remiss if I didn't do it without Chris. Are you a transplant or are you a native to Colorado?
I'm a native. Yeah.
Hey.
My wife and I were born here. Well, I was born at, if you're familiar with like the cities and everything, Wheat Ridge Hospital Lutheran Hospital in Wheat Ridge. I was born there and went to high school in Arvada, Pomona High School. And then went to get my undergrad at University of Colorado in Boulder.
Man, you really are full. And that was that's usually our follow-up question for the natives is, well, which hospital were you born in? And so, Lutheran, good people's out there in Wheat Ridge, and I'm over here in Arvada as we speak. So it seems, you got that red and blue that runs through you and, you stayed true and went SCO Buffs for college.
Oh yeah. I'm a native, and it's nice because Ceria is a Colorado company run by me and my wife, and our daughter works with us, and so it's a family-owned, family-run organization making non-alcoholic beer with cannabis.
Oh, well, so that's a lot to take in. So I was going to ask, where did you study CU? Were you a business guy, or were you always kind of like this beer nut, growing up in this crunchy Colorado? Was it IPAs all the time at 18, or how did this love come about?
Well, it's a long story.
Well, hey, let's do it. That's what we're here for.
Okay, we've got time.
Don't give me the short version.
Yeah. It's a long story. I originally was going to become a pediatrician. So
get the fuck out. What a pivot.
Yeah, I was going to become a doctor, a pediatrician. And I was up at CU Boulder, and over there, I majored in molecular biology, which is crazy. And it's funny because during I think it was my junior or sophomore year, I was walking on the Pearl Street Mall. And for those people who don't know Pearl Street Mall, that's like where everything kind of happens in Boulder. And it's a fun place to go to grab a beer, grab a bite, or just hang out. And I was walking there, and that also happens to be the place where the headquarters for craft brewing used to be. Right now it's about 2 blocks off of there, but back in the day, headquarters for craft brewing was at the end of Pearl Street Mall. And it's funny because I'm old.
Well, we joked when you joined the call, because I have your little one sheet that, by the way, shout out to your marketing guy. He does a very professional job. He sent me all your info. And so I thought you were going to be like 70 years old. You have some serious experience under your belt, which we'll dive into, but you're not that old. I say that because back when I was about a junior, I think it was maybe a sophomore at CU Boulder, there were people from the Brewers Association handing out little pamphlets on learning how to homebrew. And back then I was thinking, wow, this is really cool, because a lot of people don't realize that homebrewing in the United States, it was illegal for the longest time, and it was only legalized in 1978. I was going up to school, and I think I learned probably in 1982. So it was only 5 years after legalization.
And so it's crazy to think, but it was illegal. And so I got a pamphlet, learned how to homebrew, and I thought, this is really a cool hobby. You can make your own beer in your kitchen or bathroom, and it was really cool. And so I was about to graduate, and just a couple months before graduation, Coors happened to be looking for someone to do brewing research. And they put this big advertisement up in the laboratories. And I was working in one of the labs, molecular biology lab. And I saw that, and I was a home brewer by hobby. I thought it was kind of cool. And so I thought, I'm going to go check this thing out, see what Coors is looking for. So I went and talked to them, and all that research I was doing in the labs to help me get ready for medical school was exactly what Coors was looking to fill and do. And so I said, well, this seems kind of cool. I might try this for 2 years or a year. And if I don't like it, I'll go to medical school. But I liked it. After a couple of years, I said, this is cool. I'm going to go back to Boulder to get my PhD in this stuff because I love doing research. And that's when Coors said, well, what if we send you to Belgium to get your PhD in brewing? And I thought, wow, that's okay.
That's what when I saw that, and I didn't want to I'm sorry for yelling. I didn't want to jump the gun, but I was like, how the fuck did he find the PhD brewery and University of Brussels? I had to have known. I was going to ask so many questions.
Oh yeah. And it was cool because they paid for me to go and get a PhD in brewing. But it's funny because I was going over a bunch of old receipts and I was looking at the tuition, and Belgium is a socialized country. And so the tuition per year to get a PhD in brewing over there was about $98 every year. So it was really cheap. And I got my PhD in brewing. And that's when I started Blue Moon Brewing Company, based on a bunch of those cool beers that I had tasted over there. And this was 1995, I started Blue Moon. And it was before people really knew what a Belgian beer was here in the States. And back then, people didn't really call them craft beers. They called it micro-brewed beers.
Dude, wait, time out. So you are the reason, and I feel like you were kind of on the forefront. I'm 20 years your junior-ish. But Blue Moon in Mississippi was kind of that exotic beer, it was either that or a Sierra Nevada. You weren't getting a lot of other than the domestic Pilsners, the Miller Lights, your Coors Lights, your Budweisers, and your Bud Lights, and then Natty Ice. Everybody had Natty Ice, but you revolutionized the game just on a whim. You could have done something. Had you been a pediatrician, the beer game could have been totally different.
That's true. Yeah, because it's funny because I read articles about me and they talk about how Blue Moon, when I created it kickstarted the whole craft beer revolution. And because back then when I launched, Sierra Nevada was in the market, Sam Adams was in the market, Fat Tire was there. But it didn't.
Fat Tire you could only get in Atlanta. We would bootleg that stuff out of Georgia and bring it back to Mississippi. And that was in 2000. This is you were so far ahead of the times.
Wow, yeah, and it kickstarted that whole craft beer revolution, and it just took off. And it was crazy because I remember by 2001, it's we were selling every drop of Blue Moon we could make, and it was just going bonkers. And but it started off really slow. I remember I got it together. I would do tastings, and people said, "What is this?" And I'd say, "It's a Belgian beer. It's Belgian white." And they'd say, "What is that?"
Exactly.
I'd explain it and everything, and people would say, "Why is it cloudy? What's wrong with it?" And I'd say, "It's unfiltered. That's all the good protein and everything that's good for you. There's yeast." And people would they'd say, "No." And I'd say, "Yes." I would say, I'm a beer doctor. Trust me, I know doc.
Yeah, and be like, I literally have the paperwork to back it up. I am a doctorate of brews.
Yes, exactly. And so people would say, well, and then they would try it and they'd say, wow, that's pretty good. And so they'd go from being afraid of it to falling in love with it and then recommending it